the quality of movement that she had plus the form, she like if like a spaghetti noodle and a feather.
Sure. Yeah. Mated?
Can't.
Is that you're looking for the word mated, or were you looking for something grosser?
Remember, the show is PG-13, so you might hear a naughty word or two.
Norbert's is having a sale. 10% off steps. You know, you need those little squishy steps all over to get up on the little bars, to get up on the little beams, to get on tumble track, squishy steps. Very important. Go to norberts.com for 10% discount on anything with code GymCastic. That's us. And it's trade show deal season. So you can pre-order a booth display item and you can get the best deal on it, and then you pick it up at National Congress in New Orleans or GAT or Region 1. Also, Norbert's is giving away a $50 Norbert's gift card that can be used on anything in their online store, no minimum. Just follow Norbert's Athletic on Instagram and comment on the giveaway post. Good luck. Elite season is upon us. And the 2028 LA Olympics code has been here for a while, but we have not done a deep dive. But we have US Classic coming up, which is a big meet in the US. So we want to dive into it. Plus, we have the world team selection procedures to dissect and a mini commission about the best gymnasts the world has never known. It is July 8th, 2025. And welcome to the #1 gymnastics podcast in the galaxy. I'm Jessica. I'm here with Spencer from the Balance Beam Situation. And Spencer, it's only 1 week, 10 days until the live show.
Whoa.
It's
mind-blowing.
very soon. The live show is happening in Chicago, but you don't have to be in Chicago. You can attend on the live stream. You can ask questions and win prizes. It's Friday, July 18th. We did have a different guest, but now that guest can't come because USAG changed the schedule. But we have Helen who is amazing. Like Helen Hu was also raised by a Soviet era acro gymnast coach like Carly Patterson. And that's why she's like when I think of like who could do my fantasy beam routine, it's Helen Hu. So we're going to talk all about that. Also took a year off just to travel and then was like, all right, I'll come back and do college gymnastics. Also, if you don't know the name Helen Hu, like our international listeners, maybe you don't know who that is. Spencer, do you remember this moment? Can you describe what's happening here?
I mean, if you show it to me. Okay, I can't describe what's happening here. We have a reaction in a background, something. I couldn't see who those were or what was happening. Oh, this is Helen Hu at the Nastia Cup.
When Valery Lukin looked like he was going to die and literally covered his face.
Yes, okay.
When Helen Hu did her round off Corbett, that was 1,000 feet in the air, and she just stalls out and then rolls down very comfortably onto her chest into a beautiful pose. That is Helen Hu. Spencer didn't remember, you guys.
Who we're looking at in this video. It looked like 3 blurs.
In his defense. So
I was like, is that Tim Daggett and Amanda Borden? No, it's the Lukens.
So at the live show, we have games, giveaways. There's a bar. It's like a PG-14, PG-13 kind of a show. So keep that in mind if you're coming. There's a Q&A, and we have a choreography quiz, and our featured dancer for the choreography quiz is one Charlie Larson, everyone. So it's going to be a very fun show. So we hope to see you there. Get your tickets now, gymcastic.com. Very important. Don't wait to the day of because we cannot help you on the day of because we're a very, very small staff. Okay, the headlines.
Yes. So explain to me what's happening with Kaylee Nemour. Because the internet told me she was in Texas.
Right. The internet said, oh my God, she's training at Simone's old gym. But she is not. She was there at WCC for a week training with her French coach. That's it. She has not moved to Texas. She is not training at WCC. She was just there for a week. So don't get your hopes up, everybody.
I would like to say I once again endorse the building international bridges of coaching in the US, that you don't have to be territorial about, the nationality of the people you are coaching.
Yes, exactly. I like that very much. Never forget that classic when we got Melanie De Jesus dos Santos at a US Classic.
What a time it was.
I know. That was the greatest classic there ever was.
Or ever will be, probably.
Probably. Let's be honest. Okay, the other thing I want to talk about, which because there's a ton of stuff in the news, is that Mary Lou Retton's DUI police cam arrest video is out. Entertainment Tonight got the footage. We're not going to link to it, but I did watch it, so you don't have to. And I don't want to go into all the details. Yeah, and good, right. And like I feel like this is newsworthy because there are things that happen in here that I think are worth knowing about. And one of them is like, was she drunk? Like, can you obviously see she was drunk? And I think from watching this, you can see that like there's definitely something wrong. So was it correct that they stopped her from driving? Yes, I think she's either sick or maybe she's drunk, or they did find out by the end when the paramedics from the fire department came that she was hypoxic. Her blood oxygen was 94%. They said, they told her that in the cam footage. The other thing that I think it is very, very sad to watch this. It is very sad. But the thing that was kind of shocking and disappointing to me is that Mary Lou Retton says over and over and over, I'm in West Virginia. I'm in Fairmont, West Virginia. And over asks for police and sheriffs by name. Call Jimmy, the sheriff, call the sheriff for me, call the Gary, and just assumes that like you don't know who I am, so you shouldn't be doing this to me. And I think shows great ethics in this specific case in the police department's favor that they continued with the arrest and did not let her drive and made her go to the hospital because she had run out of oxygen in her oxygen tanks. She's on oxygen all the time. And they were not going to let her, stay hypoxic. So that's what you need to know about the video. And it was very, very sad. And yeah, that's what happened. Let us discuss the code. The new
You mean my favorite topic? The code of points?
2025 to 2028 code.
Yes. The rules that will take us through to the LA Olympics. You can't change them unless you want to, and then you can. But overall, I would say the code for 2025 to 2028 for women's elite is mostly the same. It's not a big change. It's not one of those sweeping years where everything's been torn down and is being rebuilt. The changes that we see are specific and minimal, not large scale. So first of all, I want to know your thoughts about that. Like, is changing the code all the time or making big changes a bad thing? I oftentimes think of Tim Daggett when we talk about changing the code because I feel like he was always very upset or annoyed, or maybe it was just Troutwig rubbing off on him, where it was like, every 4 years they change all the rules and no one knows what's going on. So are you like Team Daggett where that's changing it is bad, or would you like big changes all the time?
I think it is very bad for a sport to constantly change the rules. It is not a positive thing for a sport. Having said that, I do think the code needs to adjust. And I do think gymnastics needed to adjust because it was basically backroom cocktail deals, literally. And that's how things were decided, even though obviously the Soviets were the best. So
the code of points was just cocktails. You just turned the page and then it just said it was just a cocktail menu, and then that was the end of the document.
So I appreciate that in this code they have not changed as much, and they have left my precious beam alone because I'm pretty happy with beam, and beam's really all I care about.
Oh.
So at least we have one stable thing that's like, okay, we sort of got this where we want. I mean, I want gym macro add to everything. You have to connect a gymnastics and a dance, and there sort of is a bonus for that on floor, but it's like, because you have to do like a, full into a freaking, stag jump. I mean, it's fine. It's hard. I know it's hard, but I'm not really super excited about it. But okay. Did you talk about what Blythe said?
Well, this is where I was going with this, because on the Euros broadcast, I thought it was very interesting that our dear friend, Blythe Lawrence, mentioned talking about the changes in the code, and she mentioned the lack of changes in the women's code being kind of intentional in order to prolong careers of women's artistic gymnasts. I guess the implication being that if you see like, oh, all these rules have changed and now I don't know how to do any of this stuff, I might as well just retire. You're like, I can't do all this. I'm too tired, you guys. I'm too old. If my routine is not, you can't compete it anymore, I'm out. See you later.
It's interesting because on the other hand, I'm thinking like, okay, well, is this a code where they feel like, all right, you don't have to do absolute ballistic D score to be competitive. So maybe that's the other part about it that they're like happy with.
Yeah. I, on the other hand, love changing the code, and I think it should change all the time. If I am bored by something, it needs to change, and that should be the overwhelming influence of the code of points. Is Spencer bored?
I mean, honestly, this should be a really important thing because people don't watch sports that are boring. And you can obviously, I don't know what I'm talking about because baseball exists, but banana ball is going to be more popular than baseball. I'm just telling you, it's going to be like the Beyonce of sports. So Savannah Bananas, if you haven't watched, look it up because that is the future of sports. They have done it perfectly. Anyway, so I'm not saying it doesn't need adjustments, and I'm not saying I don't have a lot of problems with it, but I'm like, all right, at least we're getting some stability. I have some favorite parts about this new the actual book, and by book I mean PDF.
PDF document.
Yes.
Imagine having a book. Yes, I would love to hear your favorite parts.
Okay. The things that I really like about it are its inclusiveness, starting with the graphically accessible parts of it. Like it was just like, you know, if you want to give me a document that I look at and I'm like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to read this, just make it a white paper with just black writing the whole time and no charts or colors or pictures or anything. And that's how it was.
Yeah.
Now, this code
you would love a pop-up code. If you could get a pop-up book of the code of points that then had like the gymnast doing the skills in a pop-up version, Jessica would buy 20 million copies.
A flip book or a hologram? That's what I'm really waiting for, the hologram code.
Yeah.
But I love that there's color coding. Each event skills are color coded, so you know if you're on the bars page because the whole thing is red or yellow or green or whatever. I like that it includes the shorthand now with the skills, which is so helpful for learning because if you don't want to sit down. But no, it's like bigger now.
I mean, they may have increased the size of the image, but the shorthand's always been there.
I feel like no, like, but with next to the skill, like included. Did I never see? This is what I'm talking about. I swear I never saw it before, but now it's so much bigger, or the way the page is laid out. I noticed it and immediately started learning things that I hadn't really learned before. So there you go. They've already achieved their goals.
They have added colors to each apparatus, and they're different. And I think that really helped direct your eyesight.
That's right. Also, I love that there are gymnasts of different skin tone doing like the main examples at the top of the code, where it's like, what are the degrees of a turn and what is an in-bar skill? They have different gymnasts with different skin tone, and I think that's been something that's been missing for a really long time. And I always talk about the NAIGC code, which is very inclusive. And I think the rooms for further improvement, even though I'm very happy with the changes in the code layout. I would like to see more body type, because the example gymnasts are sticks. They are just flat sticks, no muscles, no nothing. They are just, where it would be good if it was like there are various different kinds of bodies doing the gymnastics, but I think it's a big improvement for the FIG, and it shows a lot of growth on their part that they were willing to change anything. Like, it's been the same boring thing for a long time, and now I was like, ooh, colors. All of our psychologists and teachers are like writing down their notes. Jessica has this, and they're checking things off. Like, oh, we always knew it. Also,
this is nothing if not a diagnostic manual. This podcast. It's the DSM-7 or whatever. It's just the archive of this podcast. We got them all. We got the whole gang.
The other room for improvement, just a little, is the faces. The faces. Spencer,
There are some faces.
what is this? This is the face of the gymnast doing a wolf turn.
Well, I mean, she is doing a wolf turn, so I feel like, your eyes turn fully vertical when you're doing a wolf turn. That's just physics.
I
Her
like
hair
that
is showing good motion.
Yes,
It's wolf turn motion.
Full involvement of body parts because her hair is standing
hair is
straight
involved.
out to the side. Yeah.
There is an image of a gymnast doing a straddle jump who looks like something's wrong.
Yes.
She has a beautiful straddle jump, but I'm worried about her. Like, I think Betty straddle jump's not okay.
Both of her hips are broken, is what
and
has
her
happened.
face is telling you about it.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about this before, but the other thing about the faces though is like I also have to give them props for this because like it made me more engaged because I was like, what the fuck is wrong with this girl?
Because she didn't always have a face before.
They had sort of side profile, but now you get a full, like, she's crying. There are vertical lines under her eyeballs, and she's squinting while doing the turn. Like, that is a big improvement, because I was like, wow, what's different about this turn that's making her so upset?
Wolf turn makes gymnast feel tears.
Oh, I mean, it's so accurate. But I know we've talked about this before, but the best part of all, Spencer, the best part of all
is that she also has Eugene Levy's eyebrows. I mean, and more power to her. Some of us have very extensive eyebrows, and I'm happy about the eyebrow representation.
A large, fuzzy caterpillar who lives above your eyes on either side. That is who Eugene Levy looks like. Okay, the best part of all, though, that gymnasts, please show the head slide. Gymnasts are allowed to wear a head covering, and specifically, they show a picture of the Australian runner who long ago wore like a cap that's like a hood that's like very tight on your head, almost like an abaya. And the best thing about this is you know what this means. You know what I'm going to say.
I don't.
Spencer.
You might as well tell me.
Spencer, you can do a head spin now so much easier. Because you can just whip your head covering out from the back of your leotard and do your routine with it and do an easier head spin on beam, an easier head spin on floor, especially. Like on beam, it's not so hard to do a head spin. And yes, I have tried. It's
How
terrifying.
Is your head spin on beam?
It's a lot harder to stay in one place. It's been many years since I did a head spin, but I used to have a very good head spin, as Fact Checker can attest to this, as he has seen me do it in a bowling alley several times, because that's the best surface for head spins. Everybody knows that.
And how soon did you get kicked out of the bowling alley?
I never did, actually. Yes. Everyone loves a head spin. So I would like to encourage, if you are a leotard manufacturer that wants to make the hidden head covering that you can whip out for your head spin on floor, please get in touch, because we would like to make a deal for advertising, because I love this. And yes, you might have to have a religious exception or something like that. That's fine. I mean, they're not going to question you. Just, say whatever you need to do. You're allowed to wear a head covering. It's great. I mean, head spins over ethics. That's the most important thing. So now that we're done with head spins, should we do a quick refresher on how you make a routine? Just for, in case people...
I'd love to.
So
you do some gymnastics, and then it's the end.
And then we decide if it was boring
whether it was
or not.
good or not. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to show this video. If you guys aren't familiar with Emily Flip Fly Tumble, she's a great YouTube channel, and she is a brevet judge, and she explains things so well. And the videos that she has up explain, she goes through the deductions, the D score, the E score, and specifically the composition requirements, which is basically you have 4 composition requirements, and they add up. They're a half a tenth each, and they add up to 2 points. half a point each, sorry. And they add up to the 2 points that make up your routine. Your D score is 8 highest value elements, and that includes your dismount. So you could think of it 7 plus your dismount. And then you have bonus connections, which are unlimited, which is the best part about gymnastics, because you could maybe do like a routine worth an 18 or something. And then you have E score, which you
add the E score.
But sorry, you add. You're deducting things.
You're deducting from 10.
But what you're left with.
You're deducting the execution deductions from 10, but then you add the E score to the D score.
That's what I meant. Yeah, so anyway, you guys see why I don't try to be a judge. Okay, hey, Flip Fly Tumble YouTube, excellent videos. She does great explanations. So, beam, all you need to know is they fixed it. It's perfect.
By fixed it, you mean almost no changes to the beam code from last quad. Minor skill value changes, no composition or connection changes. I would have liked to see some changes that we did not see, but I think it's so okay. My issue with beam, because there's a lot I like. There's a lot I like about where beam is right now. I think there's too much emphasis on non-rebounding connections for your difficulty score. And I just generally feel like connections where you're rebounding, I get. Connections where it's leaps, those are just two elements kind of next to each other and you kept your arms moving. Is it really connected? So like my example is, if you do front aerial on beam, that's a D skill, 4/10, connected to a split jump, connected to a back handspring, you get 4/10 for your aerial, 1/10 for connecting it to the split jump, and then another 10th for a series bonus if you've added that back handspring because you've got 3 elements going. So that's 6/10. That's the same as doing an Arabian. And that shouldn't be the same as doing an Arabian. And I feel like in the interest of trying to emphasize, and I get why they do what they've done, because they want to add some fluidity and keeps things moving, add skills, and then they go into the next skill and they go into the next skill. But it has discouraged standalone impressive elements where you can just do, like, if you can pull out an Arabian, it's kind of not even worth it if it's just standing, because you're not connecting it to anything, and connections are maybe a little too valuable on beam. And I would have liked to see a slight turn away from connections towards skill value.
I feel like this could all be fixed is if there's any rhythm change in a connection, there's absolutely no value, no connection value. So if you do a front aerial to a switch leap, like you said, to a back handspring, if the speed of any of those skills changes from start to finish, no connection value. Because then it's like when you're doing like backwards connected things or like a front handspring front, you need momentum, but those you slow yourself to do those things. And that's where it's not really connection if you're slowing yourself down. So I fixed it. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, if you could apply like do it like Joe Yachin or you get no credit, then I would be more in favor of it.
Yeah.
So that should just be what's in the code.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, very little change to beam. We should talk about floor because I think that's the event where there's been the most change, and we'll see it and are already seeing it in the routines of the things that are going to be valuable and the things we're going to get super tired of and already are.
Yeah. So the requirements, which are, when you see CR, it's composition requirements. So it's like the 4 things that we talked about that you have to have in your routine. So, and that are worth a half a point each. So a dance passage, which you have to fly around the floor. You can't be just standing there doing dance. It can't be like 3 jumps in a row, like the olden days of the double jumps. You have to have a salto with a turn, 360 turn minimum. You can't be doing half turns on everything. Salto with a double flip and then a salto backwards and forward. So you can't just do all forward or all backwards tumbling. Rude. I mean, it's mastery of the apparatus, and yes, that's good.
Yeah, we just like to say things are rude, but I am fine with that as a requirement.
I know. Yeah. And I said the a turn with a 360 turn, right? Yeah. Okay. Also, I want to talk about some of the things that have been there. They're not new, but I just want to talk about them and remind people. And the first one is that it's the your ankle pain decides rule. That's what I've decided to call it. It's
Okay,
a terrible rule. And by your ankle pain decides, it is Arabians, sometimes are Arabians, and sometimes their backward skills and how you land and how much it hurts your ankles is how you decide. If you land backwards, so you do an Arabian and then do a half turn, so you're landing backwards, which means you're looking at the ground and then landing instead of a blind landing like forward. Then it is a backward element. If you're landing like a Dos Santos, that's an Arabian. It's a forward element. If you do a half turn at the end of a Dos Santos and land looking the way you came from, that's a backward element. This is the stupidest thing in the entire world. I hate it so much. If you don't remember what Arabian is, it's you are moving backwards, you jump up, do a half turn, and front flip. It absolutely is not an Arabian if you flip and then half turn. You know who you are.
Okay.
No credit.
This is my rage of the code as well, but for a different reason. So we have had a downgrade that is relevant to this, which is the Oliveira, the double Arabian piked half out. This was moved and combined in the same box, the same skill, the same value as the Mujina, which, Jessica, is a double tuck fall.
It's so disgusting. It's so disgusting. It's so disgusting.
It's disrespectful, it's inappropriate, and it's vile. Okay, so just to be clear, the double Arabian piked, the Dos Santos, is an F element worth 6/10. So now the double Arabian piked with a half turn out is an E element worth 5/10. This is insane to me.
That makes it's so much harder.
You add a half turn and you lose a 10th. Can am I missing something? Am I wrong? Have I lost my mind? Because looking at this in the code of points makes me feel like I've lost my mind.
It's like that whole, but we're not going to count when and where you twist. We're just going to count value by twist. But the when you twist makes it harder. Everybody knows that. Because no one would start learning flipping by learning an Arabian. It's way easier to learn flip over, see the ground, and then do a half turn, which is how most people learn. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
You guys.
So this has destroyed both of us.
We're not over it.
We're not okay. Double salto backward, tucked or pike with full twist, any technique is all considered the same skill.
Okay. Also, a punch double front doesn't fulfill your requirements. So it's not connected acro. So if you just run and do a punch double front or run, punch, quadruple front, it doesn't matter because you haven't connected it to something. You can't just do it really hard.
It doesn't count as an acro line. So to fulfill the, salto with a full turn, double salto, saltos forwards and backwards, it has to be part of an acro line. And that means 2 elements.
A tumbling pass.
Yeah.
A tumbling pass is an acro
but
line.
it's dumb. I agree. It's super dumb.
I do appreciate, so I was just trying to extrapolate as far as I can, like the rationale for this. And I'm like, okay, well, I like that this is kind of an FU to the ugly cheerleading stuff. Like, I'm not saying the competitive cheerleading, it's very hard, and I respect that. But, like, where cheerleaders, like, they get all stiff, like, they're very stiff and something's wrong, and then they do a back tumble. You can't do that. Like, if someone was going to try to come in from, like, cheerleading and just, like, walk backwards down the length of the middle of the floor across the diagonal and then do, like, a standing double back and try to be like, that's my tumbling pass, absolutely not. You can't do that. So that's good because that would be ugly. But run, like, double pike front or run, punch, full twisting, double front. It's so hard and so cool. Anyway. That's not new, but we're just going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the topic of new... Okay, go ahead.
Hold your thought, Spencer. Hold your thought. Okay. Updates. I wanted to remind you guys, we're only 10 days away. Live show, Chicago, Friday, July 18th. It's in the evening after dinner. Doors open at 7:30. Show starts at 8. You can watch it from anywhere in the world because even if you can't log in live to watch it, you can watch the replay. There's a live stream. You can interact, and the tickets are on sale now. They're at gymcastic.com. So please get your tickets. It's going to be very, very fun. The choreo contest is back, you guys. A dancer does choreo, and it's the audience versus the people on stage. That's how it works. We have a bunch of giveaways that you can't buy anywhere. You can only get them at the live show. So gymcastic.com, get your tickets. Don't wait because we're a very small staff and we cannot help you on the day of. So get your tickets now. And again, if you're coming and you're bringing youths, just know it's like, if they're like middle school age, then it's fine. There's nothing scandalous at the live shows. It's just not a children's event. We'll see you guys there. Back to floor, something new.
Yes, on to the new things, other than devaluing the Oliveira and ruining everything. The new stuff on floor largely concerns connection bonus and changing some of the values of connections, aka the Sugihara Aiko is your role model rules. She really, if you want to know like what is being valued in the floor code 2025 to 2028, Sugihara is the routine to watch, a code empowered routine, because you don't call it code whoring anymore.
That's right.
You call it code empowered sex
hacking.
workering routine. Showcasing the new connection rules. So
also, one second, if you can't remember who Sugihara is, even though her name is like so cool, it's Sugihara of the jean shorts leotard. That's who we're talking about. I mean,
that's a new reference point. But yes, it's very important. She's already iconic.
Yes, the jean shorts, half shirt on top, leotard. That's her. Okay, carry on.
So, direct acrobatic combination of a D plus B element is 2/10 of connection bonus instead of 1. So that is, for instance, the back 2.5 to front layout is now
the NCAA
0.2.
Gift.
It's now
that's what I call it.
Instead of 0.1. So that's why you will see it in Sugihara's routine, in Jayla Hang's floor routine, in Manila Esposito's floor routine. So we're already seeing exactly what we're going to be sick of for the next 4 years, and it's a 2.5 to front lay on floor.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a throwback, but is it a throwback we wanted?
I know. I'm like, this is the thing. It's like, how do you make a code where like everybody doesn't do the same thing? I mean,
I think anytime you have specific permutations of connection bonus, everyone will find the most straightforward way of getting it and then do that.
Yeah.
It has to be more general and not so like a D plus B is worth 0.2, a C plus D is worth yada yada. Also, another point used to be 0.1, now it's 0.2, is for indirect C plus D elements. Now it's 0.2 for that. So do you want to just explain indirect passes and what's going on there?
So indirect is when your hands touch in between flight elements. So you're doing like a round off, 1.5 step out, round up back handspring, double back. It's technically the full and the double back are in the same tumbling pass, but they're indirect because you have some flippies where you touch your hand in between. That's essentially it.
And that was a very good example of something that is now 0.2, a back 1.5 through to double tuck.
Thank you so much. Okay, I really have a problem with this. I do not care for this.
Okay, yeah.
The whole whip, it's the language they're using. So a back full in a pass is now a whip full. It's a C direct or indirect. So whether you have a hand touchy thing in between or a flippy directly into something else.
Okay.
So if you do a full just alone, it's a B. So if you do like round off full, it's a B. If you do it connected in a pass, if you do like a full step out to blah, 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 then it's called a whip full. That's not a whip. A whip full is really cool. We almost never seen a whip half is the coolest because it looks like a whip back, but then all of a sudden they're facing the other direction. Then you do a double front after. It's so awesome. So I just object to calling it a whip.
Would you proprioceptively describe for us the difference between a back layout and a whip back?
A back
what
layout.
Does it feel like?
Okay, so a whip feels like a back handspring, but you skip your hands and you keep tumbling out of it. So it's used as like something to gain momentum and put yourself in the takeoff position. So it's not a terminal skill. A full is you keep your body absolutely totally board straight, or a hollow position where you kind of carve yourself out like a canoe or a banana, but with open hips. And that is how a layout feels. And a layout should feel like you go way up in the air, a single layout. You stop time, like flip, do your full twist, see the ground, have plenty of time, land perfectly straight up and down, or like, I'm amazing, I just did a full. Run around, celebrate, ring the bell, tell all your friends. Whips are fun and speedy and fast. Layouts are just a glorious moment in and of themselves. A layout full.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, for example, we're seeing Jayla Hang, Dulcie Kaler do that back full through to a double tuck in their routines right now. Just for example, just for if you've seen a routine, you're like, okay, that's what that is, and that's where we're doing it.
And it's cool, and I really like it. I just feel like it's not a whip. Ugh. A whip is a whip. Like, this is the
A whip
same.
is a whip.
A whip is a whip, and a whip is archy. Like, if your layout's archy, it should not be, or pikey, it should not be getting credit as a layout. So, I mean, this is the same sport. We have tumbling and trampoline are also a sport in the gymnastics disciplines. If you started calling their whips layouts, oh my God. Don't even get me started. Now we're going to get letters from everyone in TNT's like, yeah, we call them layouts, not whips. And I'm going to tell them that they're wrong. Okay. Dismount bonus. You get
Yes.
a 0.2 for a D or more dismount now.
And that's not new, but you do get 0.2.
We're in the not new. Yeah. But it's only
there is a new part to it. A new
Right.
clarification, which is that you have to on floor, you have to have 3 passes to
you'd have to have more than
one
2.
count as a dismount.
Right. So you can't do like first pass double back, second pass like front full to double front. That doesn't count. You don't get the dismount bonus for the double front because you only did 2 passes in your entire routine, 2 tumbling passes. So that's basically the don't try to get all your freaking dance bonus. You better have 3 passes. That's what that's the Netherlands are looking at you rule, essentially.
Yes.
Dance. The anti-coupettes rule.
Okay, explain.
Okay, so I do not care for this. This is also not new. Wait, was it new? I can't remember. But basically, you can't do a really fun, like, I'm doing my dance pass forward, and then so let's say I look in the corner, I'm like, corner, I'm coming for you. We're at war with each other. And I chasse, and I do a full twisting switch leap, and then I land dramatically chasse back out of the corner in exactly the opposite direction I came from. Like, no, the tide is taking me back out to sea to kill some sailors. And then I chasse backwards and do another full twisting leap the other direction. But I basically went forward and backwards. That is a very common refrain in dance and in art, that you show the momentum and the role of the momentum. But no, not in gymnastics. Hell no. Do not, if you do that, no credit for you. Absolutely not. Do not be creative or use anything that's known in dance. Absolutely not. You better do a big arc around the floor and look at everybody standing around the edges of the floor, make eye contact. That's the only kind of freaking dance pass that counts. Stop being creative. I hate this.
That's another one to put around the FIG logo as its slogan. Stop being creative.
Oh my God, I'm doing that. Okay, I'm writing it down. Okay, the other thing is if you bend your knees when you're stepping from one turn to the other to connect 2 different turns, then it's called a demi-plie.
Get that out of here.
If you demi-plie, canceled. You better be on your highest toe and your most locked out knee when you step. So, artistry checklick. No, none of that. It's a checklist. And there are some changes.
Yeah, so we have a couple changes to the artistry checklist. First of all, in the realm of body posture, there has been the addition of a 0.2 deduction. It used to just be 0.1. Now you can take 0.1 or 0.2 for lack of body posture. Do you want Jessica? Do you want to explain how my posture is getting a deduction at this moment and how I should change it in order to get
Yes.
no deduction?
Your neck is in front of your shoulders.
Okay.
Your rib
Putting
cage
that
is
back.
not lifted. You're not sitting as
All right.
high as you possibly can. Your shoulders need to be down.
Oh,
Your
down.
chin
Okay,
needs to
shoulders
be
down.
up, and
Shoulders down, chin up. Okay.
your rib cage needs to be pulled in. No, like don't relax your whole middle. You need to use all your muscles to pull yourself as high as you can. Like there is, as any good dance or gymnastic teacher will tell you, a string pulling you from the top of your head, lifting your rib cage effortlessly. Oh, look at that. You did it. Good job.
Okay. So
That's
this
it.
hurts so much. I would rather get 2/10 of deduction than sit like this for another second. Get me my deductions, and I will feel safe and warm and go to sleep with my 2/10 of deductions.
You can think of this rule as if you're watching a routine and at any time, for even a split second, someone looks like they are relaxing or concentrating on something, done. Deduction.
Unacceptable.
Yeah, you
Never
have to
relax.
be
Being normal is a 2/10 deduction in this sport. Always remember that. Normalcy is unacceptable.
It's only a minute and a half, for crying out loud. You can keep yourself lifted for a minute
You can
and
look
a half.
insane. If you can't look insane for a minute and a half, try golf.
Should also
'Cause
look
this
like
is
you're
not for you.
squeezing something into your butt as you like to lift yourself like a small rocket to just lift all of your body. Yes. Anything else about the deductions? I mean, I don't mean it like,
Okay.
a fun rocket. I just mean I'm trying to show the hoveringness that your body should look effortlessly like it's being lifted by a puppet master. Strength.
Okay. Also, on the artistry checklist, you can now take 0.1, 0.2, or 0.3 for expressive engagement on floor. So there's more of a range, a 0.1, a 0.2, or a 0.3 for not being facially and bodily engaged with the theme of your routine. Also 0.1, 0.2, or 0.3 for lack of connectivity to the music, which was basically just rewriting of the background music deduction, which has been there forever, but now it's also 0.1, 0.2, or 0.3. Connect to that music. So if you've picked a triumphant part of a movie score at the end when there's a big fight, you have to be big fighting the whole time. You can't then just like take a breath in the corner while the music is sweeping, because you're not doing connectivity to the music. Also, we have my favorite, poor editing of the music, which used to be the wording used to be no structure to the music. I much prefer poor editing of the music. That's the NCAA deduction.
That is the NCAA deduction.
That's
Forget
why they're
the
like,
other one.
you'll get deducted if you do an NCAA flirting. Yeah, you'll get poor editing of the music.
If it sounds like you could go to cheerleading world championships with it, no, fired. That's basically okay. Bars.
Okay, got some things on bars. So if the theme of floor was connection value changes, the theme of the changes on bars is skill values. So the big thing is the devaluing of all the Tkachev half variations. So now they are valued the same as that version without the half turn. So for example, the black that Ellie Black got named after herself, which is the clear hip piked Tkachev with half turn, is now the same value as the Shang, named after Shang Chen Song, which is the clear hip pike Tkachev. So if you've added a half turn and gotten a skill named after yourself, that's now the same value as if it didn't have a half turn, i.e. we're sick of trying to tell the difference between gymnasts who are actually doing a half turn and those who are simply crossing their hands to grab the bar and then having the momentum do a half turn before they do their Yejova. We are sick of trying to tell the difference, so we're just going to say it's all the same so we don't have to make a decision. That's what that's for. Because it kind of doesn't make sense, but they just don't want to try to differentiate anymore.
Yeah. Which I can understand, because it is, and also it is not safe to grab the bar backwards like that. Like, it's just not safe. It should all be you're grabbing with your hands crossed, so you have the momentum, and you have one hand clearly over grip, so you don't just fling yourself under the low bar, fly off the podium, and land in a heap in the ferns, which has definitely happened. You guys, who did we see the video of the Netherlands who flew off the bar and almost went down the stairs because they put the women's bars right next to the stairs? Or was that just me imagining it? Because I was
I think you
afraid what was going
imagined
to
it.
happen.
We saw like Sana Fairman doing her
Yes.
amazing skills, and you were like, "That's right next to the stairs." So you may have just imagined that that was going to happen.
Yeah, I was like, clearly someone who's never like mounted the bars from over the low bar, which is a very cool way to mount, run, jump over the low bar, which also, by the way, if you touch it's just like vault. If you touch the board when you're mounting and then don't go, that counts as a fall.
Mhm.
Not a
I'm
0
fine with
like
that.
vault, but it causes a fall. I mean, it is like, that would be
You
a
started.
stop.
You
Yeah.
started. I think that's fine.
But yeah, you should never have stairs right next to the
That's the true lesson of the changes of the bars code. Also, we have an upgrade, the double layout full dismount, upgraded to an F from an E. So it's now 0.2 more than the double layout. I'm fine with this.
Yep, I agree. Approved.
Approved, because before it kind of never made sense to do a double layout fall. Because it was just 1/10 more than the double A, and you're probably going to get a 10th of deduction for something extra that you weren't on the double A. So I'm fine with this. But my favorite thing, my most checkmark endorsement change for the code this year is the upgrade of forward stalders, or also known as endos. So a front stalder and a front stalder half are now a D. They were C. Front stalder so forward stalder full twist is an E. Endorsed.
Yep, I agree. How do you feel about the whole Jaeger, like the whole root element thing?
Okay, so the change is you can only do one Jaeger in your routine. Well, you could do more, but it won't count, so don't. I feel like it's like a solution to a problem that didn't exist, kind of, because no one was really doing, like, it wasn't like people were just like, oh my god, this routine has 16 Jaegers in it, I'm so sick of it. Like, that was already really inefficient composition, so people weren't really doing it. So I don't mind. I don't have an opinion. It just seemed like kind of a weird thing to add.
Yeah, I mean, I guess someone must have been like, this isn't fair to the Jaeger, the people that can do a lot of Jaegers. Like, it's probably the Suni rule. They were like, Suni's really good at Jaegers. What if she comes back? Make sure she can't do all the variations of a Jaeger.
So
And
this
get
is
credit for it.
mimicking the Tkachev rule that they introduced in the last code, which is you can only do one Tkachev from each like line in the table of elements. So like, all the toe on Tkachevs will be in the same line, and you can only do one of them. My question for you is, see, I think the thing that would spice up bars composition more than anything else is if you extended this rule to Shapashas. You can only count one Shapash element
No.
in your whole routine.
So basically your options then are so you could do one Shapash, so you can't do a Bahardwaj or anything else. You could do a
Sure, you can do
Bahardwaj
a Bahar-
or
that's a pack.
I mean, and then that's it. Oh no, sorry. So you can't do a Van Leeuwen or a Maloney
You couldn't do
or
a
any of
Maloney
those.
and a Van Leeuwen in the same routine, I'm saying. Because I think the thing that is,
So a toe-ons versus the free hips is what we're saying.
or you could say
Transition.
you could say any of them. What else are you going to do? The thing that is, it's just bars is all, it's so impressive when you have a Killian and Nemour doing it and just connecting everything, and it's so difficult, but everyone's bars is Shapash variation, pack variation, Shapash variation, pack variation, and it gets repetitive, and I want to find a way to reintroduce some more other ways to solve the problem of how do you get a high D score, or just force people to add in some other elements. Like, oh my god, what if you have to get back to the high bar while facing the high bar, and you have to do like shoots to the high bar, which, everyone used to do out of a bail, and we never really see that anymore, but I just want a little more variety in there.
There's just so few things that you can do and swing. Because your swing, if you like, let's say you do a hecht or a shoot to the high bar. So let's say you put your feet on do a soul circle from the low bar, shoot your feet up to the high bar, grab it. it's so hard to get enough height, rotation, and be short enough to swing without hitting your feet and get any swing at all to get to the high bar because you have this mandatory setting. So there just aren't a lot of like very interesting options that you could do. And it's not that there's an unlimited number of options. It's unlimited. It's options where you're not going to get a big ass deduction because you just end up hanging in a total standstill, not a stand, a hang still from the high bar after
or
you
a
do
dead
it.
hang, like we call it. Yeah.
Yes, that's what it's called.
That's
Thank
what it's
you.
called. Yeah. But that's then the problem you have to solve. I think like the code of points should be presenting challenges to the athletes that then the most talented gymnasts in the world find ways to solve.
Mm.
So how are you going to solve that? And you would have people actually come up with maybe different ways to solve it, which is what we want, because different gymnasts have different strengths, and we don't just want like the routine to be kind of the same collection of elements.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying it's a foolproof idea. I'm saying let's consider it because I think it would spice up composition.
Next week, we'll talk a little bit more about the code, and we will talk about some of the vault changes as well. But feel free to send us your feedback from gymnastic@gmail.com so we can discuss it on behind the scenes this week because we're back for behind the scenes. And of course, we have Classic coming up next week, so we can try to answer your questions and get all your thoughts when you're like, listen, I will tell you exactly how you transition to the high to low without dropping into a dead hang. So let's discuss the Jakarta selection procedures. So USAG put the selection procedures out, and I am very pleased with the selection procedure.
Whoa, that is
know.
a shock.
I know. It's very shocking. I don't often say this, but remember, this Worlds is in Jakarta, Indonesia, and it is an individual Worlds, which means there is no team. My favorite Worlds. This is where you see all the people that are the most insane on one event that probably won't make a team because no one's going to risk taking them, but they could absolutely be a world champion. It's why it's my favorite. This is where we get crazy skills. If we get people that you might not ever see again, it is like the riskiest Worlds to send people, but it's the one that's most likely to pay off, and I love it.
Yes, four member women's teams at Worlds this year.
Yeah. And the thing that I love about this basically is who's being invited to the selection camp, the selection event. So if you were on the 2023 World team or you were on the Paris Olympic team, then you can petition to camp. And why I think this is genius is because like it doesn't make any sense to peak in August for a meet that's in October. And you also, when you peak, you have to have enough time to peak, then come back down, recover from the peak, and then build back up. So I like that they're not saying you have to be, if you're injured and you're coming back, you have to be ready in at championships in August. And you have to compete. And if you can't compete there, we're not going to invite you to the selection event, which I'm just going to call it World Trials because that's what it is. That makes sense. And I mean, when we're looking at who can petition to the trial, these are the people you need. So Spencer, talk about like who are the people that are injured who then could be eligible.
Well, I think this is what's significant because that is a change that you can just petition. If you were on a major team before, you can just petition directly to the selection camp, the trials. So this is for your Sky Blakeleys, your Charlize Jones, your Kayla DiCello, your Connor McLean. If any of them are in a position, and we kind of don't know their statuses in a lot of cases, but if any of them are in a position where they're like, I'm not really maybe going to be ready for nationals because that's like the beginning of August and that's kind of soon, but like I might be ready for Worlds, they would be in a position where they could petition directly to the World Selection Camp and bypass nationals. And I think that's what you want because they're really good. So if they're able to go, you want to be able to include them in the mix. And we've had this issue before in the last quadrennium where people were trying to come back for the 2024 Olympics and maybe they weren't getting the scores or they weren't quite ready to compete all the events. And you were like, oh, well, maybe just let them not compete at championships and wait until they're ready. We know they're really good. They've already proven themselves. So I like this. Yeah, I agree.
Yep. And I also think like I mean, it's not just we're saying like, oh, these people were good in the past. Like obviously Sky Blakely and Charlize Jones were like the automatic people who are obviously going to be on the Olympic team with, Simone Biles last year. It's not just that. It is that we're looking at the scores that they are capable of getting and saying there is not a crop right now of people who can get those scores. And if you guys want to look at the score ranking, go to thegymter.net and Lauren keeps track of them. So the highs right now in the world are like the 55 all arounds, a high 55, 56, 57, like Russian meets, but and then like high 14s on the event. So it's not like they've really changed. This is like actually they're pretty stable in terms of what you'd expect to be a good score for the, non-Simones and non-Andrades. But at camp and classic, the scores that we're seeing from the US athletes are like 52s and like a 53.9. So there's no one
At American
right now.
Classic, yeah.
American Classic, yeah, not
Which
the one that's in
now
Chicago.
we haven't had US Classic yet, and it's very helpful that they basically have the same name, but they are two different competitions.
Yes, they are. So
basically you're
scores,
saying
leave room.
if people like Sky Blakely and Charlize Jones and Kayla DiCello and Connor McLean were able to compete at the level we've seen them before, they would be zooming into the 4 world spots, and you'd maybe want them. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yes. And maybe Jade Carey if she decides that she wants
Oh.
to come back and compete. She did, go to the gym, was tumbling a little bit. But it's not like championships are not worth anything because championships in August, which are in New Orleans, they are the top 2 all-rounders from the combined 2 days of competition. If you're top 2, you get an automatic invite to the World Trials, which I think is also fair.
Yeah. And in practice, like I would be shocked if the third all around, the fourth all around at nationals doesn't get all. You're going to camp. Yeah. You're going to the world selection camp as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think so. In summary, the selection procedure for the U.S. women for this year is the all around winner of camp day 1 automatically makes the world's team. The other 3 spots are whoever we damn well please. That's my summary of, the discretionary criteria, which means we can pick who we want and you're going to deal with it. Basically.
Which I feel like this is the thing. I obviously it would be great if it was just like, well, if you can get a 15 on any event, you're on their team. But it's like you don't know we don't want to put them in, Australian gymnastics jail either, where it's like, well, if your scores aren't high enough, nobody's going. I think this is really smart. And what it says to me is that they're saying, yes, if you're the best all-arounder and you prove it under pressure, we're taking you. But we're also going to take the people who can win on it, who could be an event world champion.
Hopefully. It's TBD. But it's kind of, I guess the selection procedure is like delaying when people get mad at you. Because if you're picking a world team, like, we're going to be mad. Like, we're going to have problems with it. Everyone's going to be mad at you. We will find a way. So it's like when you have a procedure like this, it's just delaying it until you actually announce the team. And then it's like, okay, now we'll be mad.
Yeah. I mean, I think people are probably going to be mad because they're like, well, why shouldn't you have to compete in championships? Why should you just get invited? And I'm just like, it's a freaking competition. You want us the best person at the time closest to the meet, not August. The time closest to the actual world championship. That's who you want to go. So,
yeah. I mean, like, if it's in my world, you either have a selection procedure that's fully based on scores and a lot of them, not just like one day of camp, which is maybe my issue about that. But it's very typical to have like an all-around winner automatically make it. It's fine. But it's like based on one day. Like, what if it's a super weird day? What
if someone has a toilet monster issue and
but
they're
either I'm like the selection procedure should be fully based on scores, it happens automatically, or it should just be like deal with it, written down on a piece of paper and just be like, this is what we're doing. We're gonna pick the best people who might win a medal.
I mean, I would like to see an actual like written explanation because they do put out why they chose people, but it's so like blah, 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 blah.
You should have to write an essay accounting for your reasoning,
or tell Spencer
with a clear thesis statement. And
the goal is to win, motherfuckers. That's the whole point. It's not to be fair. That's what sports are about. Fairness is for whatever sports is called that little kids do for fun, for funs.
Games.
Games. Those are games. Like the sports balls. Those
If it's
don't
fair,
matter.
it's a
They're
game.
games. Right. Okay. We have the elite committee, USAG elite committee, puts out their notes from their meetings. And
Or
so
minutes.
minutes, notes, committee things. So what would you like to discuss?
Yeah, we had the July Elite Committee minutes just came out. We have had a couple updates, but I wanted to talk about the July one because that has some implications for Classic and Nationals. Because we recently learned in a schedule update that Classic is going to have 2 senior sessions on the Saturday and the junior session. Juniors now go on Friday evening, but there'll be 2 senior sessions, and the Elite Committee minutes said that the second session, the evening session, so anyone who is an Olympian or World Championship team member is gonna has been in the second session, as long as in addition to the athletes with the best qualification scores. So basically, they're seeding the sessions, is what this is, and like the top people are going to go in the evening, and the other people are going to go in the day. I don't have a problem with this.
Me either. This is how you sell
Um,
tickets.
But so just people often want to know like who's going into which session, and it's like all the people you've heard of are going to be going in the evening session is basically what they're
Yeah.
saying here. Also for nationals, very interesting thing to me, if fewer than 24 senior athletes qualify, they're going to fill the senior roster to 24 with people who have achieved a score of at least 51.5 in the all around. So right now the elite chart says 52 all around is your all around qualification score to nationals. They said they're gonna fill up to 24 with allocating athletes by ranking up to that level, which is potentially significant. So currently 15 people on the roster for senior US Classic have already qualified to nationals. So it's possible that we end up with fewer than 24 senior elites who end up qualifying and entering nationals. Because a lot of people, like Simone, is qualified to nationals by being on the Olympic team, but she's not competing right now. So there are other people qualified, but you could have fewer than 24 qualified athletes enter. This is very different because I can remember not so long ago, 2014 US Nationals, there were 13 seniors, and that's Nationals. There are 13 people. So I think it's very interesting that they want to fill it up to 24. Not a bad thing, because I feel like you want to see more gymnastics at Nationals. So I don't have a problem with this. I think it is interesting, though.
The takeaway for me from this is that the developmental program and USA Gymnastics combined did not do their jobs to retain talent and develop talent. So a qualifying score of 52 is not a competitive score. If you're an elite, like you should be in, it should be a higher score, I think. Even though I like the 2 event qualifying, because you know that I like that,
Yeah.
you shouldn't have to do all around all that stuff. And I know
But do
it's
you
like
think the 2 event, like maybe the 2 event score should be lower, but the all around score should be higher? So
I
you
would
would rather that?
this year,
Uh-huh.
I would rather, and it is more important for the goals of the elite program, which is win shit, is you should be able to just be like, I can get a 15 on bars. I should be able to come. Do you want me to do a squat on vault, like a handspring? Like, yeah, they can probably all do whatever, but I would rather see something where you can just show up and be a badass on one event, because that's the point of this year. And so, and I also just feel like, yeah, the developmental program this is kind of a failure of the developmental program. And also I feel like it's failure, like so many coaches are leaving the US. Like coaches used to come here and now they're all leaving. So yeah,
Do you have
that's
a
not
diagnosis for that, or is that just an observation?
um
Because it would seem like from what we've heard, it's, kinder, gentler, more welcoming USA Gymnastics now than it was under Marta. Wouldn't you rather work in the system now than when Marta was there? Or no?
what I have heard from many different
Yeah, I'm not asking you. You're not an elite coach.
Right.
Yeah.
This is not right. Obviously, you guys. Obviously, I have my feelings. But I've heard from a lot of different people is that they do not feel supported or appreciated within the system, like the camp system, national team camp, or by USA Gymnastics in a lot of different ways. So it's like, why would I put my effort into this? Like, I've proved myself in whatever ways. But I'm not like listened to, asked to be a part. It's not like I'm really good at this and everybody knows I'm really good at this. Like I go around the world and teach people this, but no one's asking me to do this thing for USAG. That's kind of the thing. Like it's uh the appreciation and investment. And I think that shows why the developmental, like you have all these great coaches here, but they're not all involved in the developmental program. And that would have been a great way to involve them is like, be like, here are the people who've done it with healthy athletes. They could be doing this. And I'm not saying all the people in the developmental program are bad. I'm saying the head of it was bad. Didn't know what he was doing. So
I think
that's
it's
just
interesting. I had interesting observations watching the American Classic because that was, and there were a lot of falls. There were a lot of nines. That is not supposed to be the top athletes. It's a qualifier.
Right.
So it's like,
Yeah.
it should be the athletes who are borderline for qualifying who are going to that. Ashley Sullivan was the only one there who's, already qualified to nationals and has recorded top scores before. She didn't have a great event, didn't necessarily seem ready, but that's what American Classic is for. I felt like we're seeing a real gulf between, like, you still have the top people. And you still have, Jayla Hang got one of the top all-around scores in the world this year at Pan American Championships, and you have those. I think it's that second group of elites where we're not really seeing the same, like the next tier having the same level or being close to the same level as the very top ones. And I wonder if it's something that the elite program needs to look at. How are we marketing ourselves as a destination? More, because it used to be, it is an honor for me to even look at you. And now it's like, oh, I'm 13 and I'm really good at gymnastics and I'm already doing level 10 and I'm great and I'm so excited about college gymnastics. Why would I try elite?
Mm-hmm.
What's the incentive if you're like, I'm really good, but I'm not Simone? Because you're going to be like, I am watching college gymnastics on the SEC network and I love Aaliyah Finnegan and I want to be just like her and I want to go to LSU and that is my focus. Why would I do elite? And I feel like we see that, like comparing I'm old, level 10 nationals, developmental program nationals. A lot of the top athletes are doing that rather than trying to qualify elite. And so I think the elite program needs to look at what is the incentive? How do we sell ourselves to the top gymnasts to want to do that instead of like, what if I train 20 hours a week and do level 10 and then go to college and it's amazing?
Yeah. We have a mini commission this week. Yes. So next week we'll get to all the Gymternet news and go into depth on all the things like Alabama had to self-report on a thing, and we got Clemson news, which I love self-reporting. We must self-report ourselves to the NCAA as if there's any rules when people are retired for 3 years and they're coming back. But anywho, the mini commission. This is from one of our fantasy winners. So we do have fantasy gymnastics, and we're doing a fantasy game for a classic next week, the US Classic in Chicago. And so the winner, Haley Sen, she has a mini commission about the best gymnast the world has never known.
Okay, here's the brief. Hi, Jessica and Spencer. First of all, I can't believe I actually won a round of fantasy. I put my all into this year and made multiple color-coded spreadsheets that I'm sure Spencer would approve of. I'm sure I would too. When I found out I won, I screamed so loud my partner thought we were being robbed. I just want to take a second to thank you for all the laughs and content you produce year-round. I know you two work hard and, of course, fact checker, and it doesn't go unnoticed. Also, Spencer, NCAAs wasn't the same without you last season, and I can't tell you how happy it made me to have you back, if not just for my own selfish reasons of being grumbly at the judges' abhorrent scoring every week. On to the discussion. I'm in the middle of Fact Checker in Amy's book and remember Amy talking about gymnasts being born in the wrong year, in quotes, which Simone was. Simone had an amazing coach who looked out for her and her body. She was one of the lucky ones who survived the Carolis and USAG as an elite for a long time to make it to her first Olympics as a wrong yearer. I'm wondering what other unknown gymnasts could have been world or Olympic champions who were maybe born in the wrong year and didn't make it through senior elite. Maybe they had the injury curse of Rebecca Bross, were from a country not known for gymnastics, or maybe their careers were unfairly snuffed out due to politics, like the Soviet era boycotts. Can you each name your top 3 to 5 gymnasts the world has never known? Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent idea.
So
I do want some clarification. I need some parameters. Because what does the world has never known mean? Like,
well, see, this is
can you have never competed at a world championships?
no.
Or can you have competed at a world championships and still be in the category of a gymnast the world has never known?
Yes, I think you can have competed,
Okay.
or you could have competed at a like a Worlds or Olympics that like no one ever saw for whatever reasons, like Olomouc or Moscow.
Mm-hmm.
Those
Yeah,
kind of
every Soviet in 1983 and 1984.
Right. Those
All
that
of them.
that category.
Mastepanova, Omeliancha, yeah.
My first person is Hallie Sheriff, who was
Mm-hmm.
a gymnast in the 70s, who was 60s, who was
60s, yeah.
60s, who was doing difficulty that we would see the Soviets doing, and she was doing them on if they were even wrestling mats, I think they were just like basketball floors, like doing the kind of stuff that we wouldn't see until like the Roethlisberger era of bars, and it just, you know, so beyond in the difficulty that she was doing. She tragically died in a plane crash with most of her family. Her brother made a documentary about her. I actually narrate the documentary, and she was such an incredible gymnast, and I feel like nobody knows about her. And I will link to the documentary in the show notes. She's incredible, and this was the 60s. Who's yours?
I have a lot. I would say, in terms of recency bias, the first person who comes to mind would be like JJ Marshall, who, if you remember, she was competed in Amanar at level 10 nationals in 2016 and was an elite for a second and was one of those, like, she could have been on an Olympic team. London Phillips is the one who did the Biles one. So that's the double lay half out in like 2005. So that's another person who comes to mind. I think
was doing double flipping Yurchenko's in the early 2000s. She was incredible.
I think about other like standout skills that come to mind, like Shantessa Pama doing the triple back dismount off bars is another one that immediately comes to mind. Not to steal your thunder, but Yesenia Ferrera would be
Rude.
would be the one who, if she were from a different country, would have been Andrade. Like, if
Yes.
you were to watch both of them at the same time in like 2015, you would say, here are two gymnasts of the same skill, like same potential level, at least. Just so much difficulty, so much height, so amazing, so much ability to complete that difficulty, and the height on her leaps, and just yeah.
Yesenia Ferrera is still of Cuba, still a gymnast that I'm like,
I think about twice a week.
yes, like her leaps, like it's like when you see a rhythmic gymnast do leaps and you're like, oh my God, these are so high and so well executed. Add 7 feet to every one of those leaps. That's how just incredible she was. Just, yeah. And it's also like she needed like more, if she had like the stability of like what the Brazilian system, I think, like gave to Andrade too, because she had like a bunch of like family stuff. And I mean, like, so that made her not be part of gymnastics anymore, but she's just like so incredibly good. Then there was a thing that she was going to come back at some point, and she never has. But JJ Marshall was my other person that you totally stole. To this day, JJ Marshall is another one that had like family stuff that went on that basically it was like, you know, there was just a decision that like, no, we're not going to do this anymore. And she is also one that I was like in the London Phillips, Yesenia Ferrera, Andrade, Simone category of holy shit, if this person has everything they need to be successful, the raw talent of this gymnast, the abilities this person has, unstoppable, like rocket ship gymnastics. What did she do? Did she do a full twisting double layout, or was it God, I don't, there must be a video of it. She did one
Of
skill on
JJ
floor.
Marshall? Yes, there are many
Yes.
videos.
Yes.
She did
That
compete in a time when YouTube already existed, so there are. It was
I
like
will
8
find a
years
video
ago.
of her. But God, I just feel like it was that she just disappeared, and I was always like, why? But it's good. I'm sure, I hope it was for the best for her. But Liz Reed,
Mhm.
from she was a U.S. gymnast, was in the elite system, and then went to Arizona State. Is to this day like in a Shantessa category of unusual, beautiful
Mhm.
kind of gymnastics. The quality of movement that she had plus the form, she like this if like a spaghetti noodle and a feather
Sure. Yeah. Mated?
came
Is that you're looking for the word mated, or were you looking for something grosser?
came together to
Okay.
form art that looks impossible and is so fluid and beautiful. There's never been anyone like her. There just isn't. There's no one before or since like Liz Reed. And I feel like her best routines were actually when she was at ASU, and her choreography at ASU was done by Kristen Smith, who later went on to coach at Stanford. And this is the other crazy thing about Liz Reed. Like, I was watching a bunch of her routines. And there's some routines where she just does the same choreography the entire beam routine. She just is like, here's a skill, it's beautiful, and now I'm going to do the same leg move, and now I'm going to do another. Like, she didn't even have to do anything else. That's how good she was, and no one noticed. I never noticed until I was re-looking at these routines. I don't know how else to describe it except a spaghetti noodle and
Yeah.
like a feather, like a snake and a bird, a dragon in the air. So beautiful.
I
Anybody else?
feel I feel like, well, first of all, the actual answer to this question is someone that we never saw. Like, we don't know, because it was someone
Yes.
who like competed at Chinese nationals in 1983, and there's no video of it, and it was like the most perfect gymnast of all time and never made a team. But there is a whole category of like people who were like Chinese gymnasts who were amazing on beam but could never really make a team because there are like 94 people who were amazing on beam. But I think Lou Ho is one of my favorite all-time beamers, and I was really disappointed because we were talking about this and getting ready to do this mini commission, and whatever YouTube channel had Lou Ho videos has been, copyright or removed or deleted or something. So we've lost a lot of this, which is devastating to me and
Weibo,
unacceptable.
help us.
I know. So Lou Ho was in the 2004 quad, an amazing junior, spent some time, got like some international assignments in 2007 type time. So did have, some meets, but like an aerial to 2 feet directly connected to Rolfova just perfectly. When we talk about like connecting acro, not just like
What?
throwing in dance. Yeah. 2 foot aerial to Rolfova, just like, oh, layout, step out, mount. That was perfect. So much good stuff. That's one. Kuei Jia was one I was obsessed with for a hot second in like 2009, just after the 2008 Beijing Olympic team. She was kind of the next big junior thing when it was like, who's China going to have next? And it was Kuei Jia for like 1 second. But I mean, we could do it for days, but there are so many Chinese gymnasts that I'm obsessed with who didn't really make teams.
Spencer does have an entire post on the balance beam situation, the perfect Chinese beamers who never saw the light of day post, which we will link to. JJ Marshall, it was her starting her routine. I'm going back to JJ Marshall. She didn't have perfect form or anything like that. It was just like, oh my God, these skills are so easy for her. When she was doing a full twisting double layout, like it was, a split leap, And her second pass was a pike double Arabian. That when it was not normal to see pike double Arabians all the time. She's just incredible. Sometimes I still look to see, like, is she a dancer, an acrobat? Is she using her talent somehow? Cirque du Soleil, if you want to recruit someone who's like in their 20s now, but probably can still do all this, JJ Marshall. I also want to know what happened to Liz Reed. You guys, what happened to Liz Reed? Where is she? There's many rumors about what happened to Liz Reed, that she, joined a cult and dropped out, that she was like, I hate gymnastics, actually, I'm going to get married and leave, that she refused to wear leotards anymore. Like, there are many wild, like, stories about Liz Reed, but I would love to hear what happened to her. And like, oh God, such beautiful gymnastics. Anyway, thank you so much for this, because this is really interesting. And now people are going to want to add to this list. So we should start.
There are many other people you could add.
Yeah. But but it is a mini commission. So if you want a mini commission like this, you can become a Club Gym Nerd member and help us pay our bills. And in return, you get thank you goodies from us, like a whole extra podcast every Friday that's called Behind the Scenes, where we tell you behind the scenes stories that we wouldn't tell in public. And also, we answer questions, live Q&A, or you send your questions in ahead of time. And we also tell some stories and like life and whatnot. And if you want to join the club or do a mini commission like Haley did, you can do so under the Join the Club tab at gymcastic.com, which is also where you can get your live show tickets, you guys, because it's only 10 days away. Did I mention that? 10 days away. Don't wait to get your tickets, because you can only buy them online. It's no cash at the door. You can't buy tickets. You have to have them online. And if you need any help, we cannot help you the day of, because we are a extremely small staff. And so it's going to be really, really fun. Olivia Karras is going to help co-host with me, because Spencer is not traveling right now, because you found that the recovery was not happening for you. You're not ready for the travel yet, right? Is that the summary
I think
correctly?
That's fair.
Yeah. Which is totally understandable. And then, like I said, our dancer is going to be Charlie Larson, and it's going to be super fun. I'm super excited. And it's in the city, and it's summer in Chicago on a Friday night. You guys, it's going to be great. Gymcastic.com is where you can get your tickets. This Friday, we have Behind the Scenes, our live Q&A show at noon Pacific or 7 GMT. If you'd like to join us from anywhere in the world. And you just go to gymcastic.com. You can also add that show to your favorite podcast player. You don't have to join us live. You can just find us, add it to your favorite podcast player and listen there. So until Friday for Behind the Scenes at noon Pacific, remember to take off on gay, split on rights. And thank you so much for listening. See you on Friday. Elite season is upon us.
Oh, she got hit in the face.
God damn it.
I mean, that was pretty appropriate.